And joined by the Osmonds at 8:22. Wednesday morning edition. Dan Neaverth Good Time. Good morning wake-up show. In just a little while, I'll tell you how I'm going to make my fortune. Repackaging beer for the stadium. Osmond's going home.
Hey, how are you going to make your fortune, Dan? What's up?
Well, contrary to what you may read in the paper or hear on the radio or things like that, I do not intend to make my fortune in this business because, after all, I look on broadcasting, no matter where it may be, as strictly a hobby. This is a hobby with me. I do this just for kicks. I'm not in this for the money. I don't go out and do record hops and appearances and things like that for the money. The money is secondary. It doesn't mean anything to me because at this point in life, I can tell you quite honestly, and I know people like to know things like this. It's really none of your business, folks. But I can tell you quite honestly, I have over $100 in a bank account. I mean, so anything that would happen right now, any emergency, I'd be covered, right? I'll tell you exactly. I have $143.75, and we're coming up into an interest period, so it'll be a little bit more than that. Money doesn't mean anything. I have everything I want. I have a hamburger. Right now I'm having a hard roll and a cup of tea. So I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it because I like it. I dig it. All right? Now, here is a way for me to make money. I mean, I can't go on forever like now. Someday I might need money. I am going to make a fortune by repackaging beer for the football games. Now, if they pass that law that says you cannot bring beer or beverages like that in the original containers, what I will do is I will go around to all my friends at the taverns, and I will get their empty beer cans, or the places where people get rid of empty beer cans. I will sterilize them. I'll run them under the faucet a couple times, okay? And then I will set up a stand somewhere outside the perimeter of the stadium. Now, you'll come along with your six-pack, see? And I will have an empty six-pack. Now, suppose you come along with Genesee, okay? Now, I'll have empty six-packs of Simon Pure or Labatt's or whatever. All right, they'll be empty. So we take yours. We take your six-pack and empty it into my six-pack. Now, you're going to have Simon's in a Labatt's can, or vice versa, or versa versa, whatever kind you drink, see? And then you go into the stadium and the policeman stops and say, hey, up against the wall, let me check your beer, see? So you have to take a couple swigs to make sure that it isn't the right kind, Oh, that's going to be a wonderful job, checking that out. And then you'll be able to win because it will not be in the original container. And I'll make a fortune. I'll charge a nickel a can or something like that, and I'll get the cans for nothing. So, I think everybody should make some money out of this deal, don't you? Really? Give me a break. It's my favorite song now. This is a commercial, by the way, but I love it.
The treetop, falling down and holding hands, tricycles and red pop, pony rides and Sunday night, roller skates and yo-yos, fairy tales and snowball fights, climbing through the window. Remember when you were a kid? Well, part of you still is, and that's why we make Faygo.
If you would like a 45 RPM record of this Faygo commercial, please send 25 cents for postage and handling to Faygo Beverages in Detroit. Zip code 48207.
This is KB in Buffalo, New York. Dan Neaverth Show. It's 8:27.
It's got to be a morning.
Maureen McGovern, it's got to be a morning after. Operation Outdoors had lookouts posted at Hank's Boat Livery this morning, and the report from there is that muskies are snapping like wild in the area near Strawberry Island in the river. Hank reports 58 brought in so far this year. Only 46 were caught a year ago, and we've got 58 already. Some of the muskies are upwards of 16 pounds, and some were, in the 10-pound range. Can you imagine 16? Boy, they must really... 16 pounds on the end of your line. If John Zack was out fighting, it would be an even battle, right? Is that was holding the other end of the line? Operation Outdoors report presented by Mernon Chevrolet.
Ontario, Canada. Less than a day's drive from where you are. Where the summer air is sunny, fresh, and clean. And 12,000 miles of scenic superhighways await you. Where a gallon of gas is a little bigger, and there's lots of it. Where we speak the same language, and you don't need a passport. Come on now. Ontario, Canada.
It's 8:30. This is WKBW 1520 in Buffalo, New York.
President Nixon's Phase 4 economic controls will be unveiled today, but not by the President. Treasury Secretary George Shultz will do the honors once the stock market closes. The president approved the controls package from his bedside at Bethesda Naval Hospital. The administration has apparently ruled out a tax increase as part of Phase 4 and is banking on strict controls of federal spending to keep the budget in line. Phase 4 is to replace Nixon's controversial price freeze and is designed to curb inflation while returning the nation to a free market economy. This is John Zack, and this is the 8:30 News, brought to you by Sweeney Chevrolet, 11234 Main Street in Clarence, where the hard-to-get Chevrolet cars and trucks are in stock at savings well worth the trip. A battle may be brewing between the President and the Senate Watergate Committee. The conflict is over tapes of presidential conversations that the Senate Committee wants. The tapes are thought to be able to clear up any presidential involvement in the Watergate mess. Herbert Kalmbach has accused John Ehrlichman of releasing a self-serving transcription of their phone conversation just before Kalmbach testified before the Watergate grand jury in April. The president's former personal attorney said he did not know why the conversation was being recorded. The California lawyer also said someone higher up in the re-election committee authorized the Watergate break-in and made the decision authorizing Kalmbach to collect what became the so-called hush money. Following his appearance before the Watergate Committee in Washington, Kalmbach's own attorney, James O'Connor, had this to say.
I must say that the proceedings have been fair to my client. Now, as you know, we are not potentially at this point, and I'm not speaking, certainly wouldn't be presumptuous enough to speak the minds of the Special Prosecutor's Office, but to this date, we have not been advised that that Mr. Kalmbach will be indicted.
One-time White House staffer Anthony Ulasewicz will testify before the Senate Watergate Committee today. Problems in a tentative agreement between the International Association of Machinists and the Durez Plastics Company in North Tonawanda were reported this morning. A ratification meeting, which was set for this afternoon, has been canceled, and the walkout against the company on Walk Road, which began June 6th, continues. More than 600 employees are affected by the strike. A two-alarm fire in Buffalo during the night left $8,000 damage to two houses at 255 and 253 Maple. The cause is under investigation. One firefighter suffered a minor injury when hit by a falling roof ladder. The decision will be made by County Executive Edward Regan today on a 6-month moratorium on the installation of gasoline, diesel, and oil pumps in Erie County. The local law was approved by the county legislature. The United Auto Workers Union, negotiating a new contract with the big three automakers, has started presenting its demands to General Motors and the Chrysler Corporation and Ford. UAW Vice President Irving Bluestone presented GM with 22 position papers calling for items ranging from a substantial wage increase to voluntary overtime. He will outline the union's non-economic demands today, while UAW President Leonard Woodcock presents the union's opening statements to the Chrysler Corporation. Actor Jack Hawkins is dead. More on that story in this London report from correspondent Chris Lodge.
Jack Hawkins, the ruggedly handsome Briton, was probably best known for his roles in the movies Bridge Over the River Kwai and Lawrence of Arabia. He starred in dozens of movies and scores of plays on Broadway and in London's West End. But his career seemed to come to an end when at the age of 55, a throat cancer operation removed his voice-producing mechanism and left him without speech. He made only one movie appearance afterwards, and that was without any dialogue at all. Hawkins established the character of a stiff upper-lip Briton. Stateside, Variety called him one of the most reliable, convincing, and solid British actors. That all seemed to end when 7 years ago, Hawkins contracted cancer of the throat, and it left him without a voice. And what good is an actor who cannot speak? Chris Lodge, London.
Alleged kidnappers of J. Paul Getty III contacted his family for the second time Tuesday, demanding an undisclosed ransom for the boy's freedom. Mrs. Gail Getty said the kidnappers asked her to let them know through the news media that she was willing to pay for her son's return. Occidental Life Company of California is letting its 4,000 home office employees choose their own starting times between 7 and 9 a.m. The company vice president says a pilot program showed slightly higher productivity.
Low prices, high trade-ins, easy finance terms. That's what every Chevy dealer in Western New York's talking about. But at Sweeney Chevrolet, they'll meet them head-on. For trucks, for cars, for low prices, for a high trade-in allowance, for those easy finance terms, Sweeney Chevrolet will meet any Chevy dealer head-on, and they'll beat them every time. Sweeney Chevrolet's out in the country. It's not a far drive, but it means savings to you. Lower overhead, lower operating costs. At Sweeney Chevrolet, they pass their savings right along to you. They can sell for less with absolutely no sacrifice in the quality of their sales or service. Now, because they have more room to spread out, Sweeney Chevrolet can stock the full Chevy line. Trucks, campers, cars, the entire 1973 Chevy line. Now, if all this sounds good to you, maybe you and Sweeney ought to get together. 11234 Main Street in Clarence. Sweeney Chevrolet.
Sunshine and warm today, high about 85, partly cloudy tonight, low between 60 and 65. Mostly sunny and humid tomorrow, continued warm, high in the upper 80s. It's now 61 degrees. The 8:30 News was brought to you by Sweeney Chevrolet, 11234 Main Street in Clarence, where the hard-to-get Chevrolet cars and trucks are in stock. It's savings well worth the trip. This is John Sack, KB Radio News.
Oh, I see. Sorry. I pointed at him, and he pointed at me. And I'm saying to myself, well, he's pointing at me because he's a dummy. Doesn't he realize that they're supposed to go... And then I looked at the clock, and I thought, I was having such a good time, I thought it was after 9 o'clock. It's only after 8:30. Can we try it again? Okay. John left. Would you do the thing over there? Say, this is John Zack, KB Radio News, and then I'll jump right in. Okay, just over the intercom. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
John Zack, KB Radio News?
Yeah, just say that, but you gotta say a little more news-like. Okay, go ahead. Try it again. No, you just 1 minute. This is John Zack.
This is John Zack, KB Radio News.
And this is Dan Neaverth, KB Radio Music. I got up bright and early this morning just to be the first kid on the block to say good morning to you.
Good morning, Danny.
Boy, I fell asleep. I better set the alarm. On the road to Shambhala. How about that European business magazine Vision? They say they've come to the conclusion after an extensive survey that Holland is the best of 15 European nations in which to live. Holland, huh? The 3 Scandinavian countries, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, place second, third, and fourth. And listen to this, Ireland and Portugal are tied for last place. Now, Ireland, it's not, I can see why, because they're having, all the trouble there and the terrible, fighting that takes place in Ireland. But why Portugal? I thought Portugal was kind of an attractive place. I've never been there, but well, anyway, Ireland and Portugal are tied for last place. This is from a European magazine called Vision, and they say that Holland is the best place to live. Now, Sweden has the longest life expectancy, 72.2 years for men. That's an average, 72.2, and 71.1 for women. Now, it's just the opposite here. Women live longer in this country than men, but they're lonelier because we're not around. See, we get even with them that way. All right, so you want to live longer? Terrific. You live longer, but alone. Of course, there are young guys coming up all the time. Maybe they wouldn't have to be alone. Well, I'm going to live longer. Forget that deal. All right. Now, Portugal has the fewest telephones. I could live there. I could learn to love that country. Britain has the most radios. Germany has the most miles of roads. This is in Europe now, not worldwide, in Europe. Spain, Ireland, and Sweden have the lowest murder rate. France has the highest murder rate. France. Crimes of passion. I love you. And the Scandinavian nations pay the highest taxes. So that's it, folks. If you were considering, maybe somebody made you an offer, some company in Europe, and well, unless it's in Holland, forget it. I wouldn't want to live there though. I look at it this way. You know that little kid who has his finger in the dike there, keeping the waters from rushing in and wiping Holland away. Now that kid is no longer a kid. He's getting to be an old guy. Now suppose someday he gets sick. He should faint. What if he faints and his finger falls out of the dike? I don't know if I want to live in Holland.
It's trailer load time at Purchase Radio, and this time the trailer is stocked with more great electronic equipment than ever. Featured are some fantastic items from Sharp Electronics. For instance, there's the Sharp 19-inch color TV. Clear, bright, true-to-life pictures. Save $120. Right. You get a big 19-inch color picture with automatic fine-tuning for $330. Right on. Only $330. What a buy. Only at Purchase Radio's Southgate Trailer Load Sale. Today's the last, final day of the Southgate Trailer Load Sale. Don't miss the final tremendous bargains on fine sound equipment at Purchase Radio.
Purchase Radio. Sound is everything. At Purchase Radio. Purchase Radio. Sound is everything. Sound is everything.
I would like to personally, at this time, thank my director, Richard Milanowitz, who has done a swell job this morning in trying. Well, he didn't succeed, but he's trying to save the Dan Neaverth show today, which is it's falling apart. It's time for sports. Now, the last time, I want to take you behind the scenes because we don't want to have any secrets. The last time I said it's time for the K-Big Sports Scoreboard Report, I looked around frantically. Now, I must tell you, this station, the facilities here, are designed for this show. I mean, we have everything you could possibly need to make my work here easy and comfortable. We have a filing system for all my goodies. I have a little ledge about 4 inches wide and 1,000 papers. Okay, so occasionally things get lost. Now, here's what happened. I said, it's time for sports, and I looked around, and in that millisecond, like that, realized I didn't have any idea where the sports was. Had no idea. Now, in my brain, now see, my brain works faster than the average brain. It does, no, really. In recent independent surveys taken by the American Red Cross, they found that my brain works faster. And I had to make a decision. Now, while you were at home having your coffee or driving your car, it didn't even mean anything to you. You're probably saying, hey, he's going to do the sports, okay? But at that time, panic came in here, and I had to make up my mind. Was I going to try to ad-lib the sports from memory, all those baseball scores, or what was I going to do? Or was I going to come out and say, folks, a stupid thing happened. I can't find the sports. You know what happened? In that split second, my director, his brain doesn't work quite as fast as mine, takes him about a half a day. No, he ran down to the drugstore at the corner of Main and Utica and purchased a Courier Express and a copy of Sports Illustrated, raced back into the studio, opened the Courier Express to the sports page, and picked 6 items and underlined them out of the Sports Illustrated, including one funny sports kicker, handed them to me, all that while you were at home saying, it's time for the sports. See, that's how quick we work around here. And I'd like to thank Dick Milanowicz. And there's only one question I have for you, Richard. Are you Polish or Jewish? I never could figure that out. What kind of name is that? What? Oh, Spanish. All right. It's time for a look at the K-Big Sports Scoreboard Report. Baseball in the National League. Henry Aaron came up with home run 698. 698 last night in a losing effort against the New York Mets. And it was the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays, coming up with a pinch hit single to win the game for the Mets, 8-7 over Atlanta. Montreal beat Houston 7-2. Philadelphia over Cincinnati 2-1. Los Angeles beat Pittsburgh 8-4. St. Louis 2. San Francisco 1. San Diego over Chicago 1-0. In the American, Chicago took 2 from Boston, 8-4 and 5-0. The Yanks won a twin bill over Minnesota 4-3 in 12 innings in the first, 4-1 in the second. Kansas City beat Detroit 4-3. Milwaukee 6. Texas 3. California 3. Cleveland 1. Oakland 3. Baltimore 1. The Buffalo Bills put through their paces yesterday, a brief orientation meeting at the Niagara University preseason camp. Lou Saban heading away, physical schedule today. Drilling gets underway Friday. 55 players have reported to the camp, and it's been announced by Coach Saban that he'll be calling all the plays from the sidelines via taxi squad members for Dennis Shaw this season. Of course, Dennis will have the option to check off at the line of scrimmage. The Bills have signed defensive tackle Walt Barnes as a free agent. Other football news, Larry Brown being fined $300 a day by the Redskins for each and every day he does not report. And that's it in KB Radio Sports, and a background look at how the wonderful world of sports is put together in emergency situations.